What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the Hasbro Power Rangers Lightning Collection Omega Rangers 4-pack. So this is from the Boom Comics where we have the Omega Rangers, which is pretty cool since we have Jason, Zach, and Trini. So in the comics, when they left for the Peace Conference, they ended up becoming the Omega Rangers. So we have that, and I'll kind of go into more of the story. And then they also have another friend of Kaya that they joined as the Blue Ranger. So it looks pretty cool with our red, black, yellow, and blue. It looks green, but it's supposed to be Blue Ranger there, which is cool. And they all have sort of like elemental powers. But on the back we can see the 4 Rangers, so on the side we can see each one and what their accessories are going to come with, and then the whole of them there together all sort of posed up, which looks really cool for the Omega Rangers there, and a nice little look at the helmets there down the side. So pretty cool, awesome design for this. I'm excited to check this out, so let me get them open out of the box and we'll take a look at them together. So let's start off with the Omega Red Ranger, which, as I mentioned before, is Jason Lee Scott. And after the Peace Conference in Switzerland, Jason, Zach, and Trini were recruited by a Blue Emissary to become the Omega Rangers that work in the most dangerous and remote areas of space to confront the dictator of Kendry, which is a known associate of Zed and Rita. And each of the Rangers is powered by an element, and each having an ancient alchemy symbol for their element and a triangle on their head. So overall, the Red Ranger looks pretty cool here. I like this design overall. It's a nice, cool design, like with the black base body. You know, most Rangers have a lot of white to them, but the black base body and then has the gold design, or almost like a copperish color, along with the color they are, so red in this instance. And I think it looks pretty cool. As I mentioned, it does have the triangle there on his forehead, so whatever fire would be, again, in the ancient alchemy designs. With the visor, that looks pretty cool with the black design going to the sharp points there. And then I like the mouth set. It almost looks like it has like a teeth design with whatever it is there, so that's pretty cool. And then again, more of that goldish copper design running through there, as well as some really dark, like grayish silver colors, so that looks cool. And then I like how the chest almost has like a chest armor design, so almost like the dragon shield design, which is cool, with the gold diamond on the chest plate as well. So that pretty cool, going around to the back there, going down the center as well till it meets the belt, which has this belt design in gold that kind of comes off to the side. And I love how it's got the black all the way down the arms with some sort of little designs in there. And then we get to the hands that are mostly like really dark black, so this is more of a dark gray color compared to actually black there on the hands, with some red glove designs on it. And then on each of their left hands they have the morpher as well, so they have the Omega morpher there on their hand, which is cool. And that dark color continues down to the boots, where you get red boots with the gold at the top of that as well. So overall, it's a pretty neat design. Like, obviously I don't like it as much as like the normal Ranger design, but it is a neat design still. But we'll do his movements, so his head can twist all the way around. You can look down that far and up that far, so it doesn't really move too much there. And there's a little bit of additional movements in the neck that really gets it to move back and forth just a tiny bit more. But otherwise, it's just in the upper neck there, right below the head where it's connected, is really the most. But then we get the shoulders that come up to 90, and it should have the butterfly joint there, like it is there. And then this whole piece, like the shoulder armor, is kind of separated there, but it doesn't really do much. Like, it's loose to allow some movements, but it doesn't really do much. So you don't pretty much get any movement back and forth, but it can rotate around there as well. But we get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that'll pretty much bend all the way up on itself, so really good there. With the wrist that'll twist around, and this one has the hinge up and down hand. And then we go to the ab crunch, so under the chest plate, so chest back and forth and twist all the way around. And then we have the crunch closer to the waist, where it can crunch forward and crunch back. So it's pretty stiff on these, but it does have that additional crunch. And then we go down to the hips that come up to 90 and out to the side. Got those drop down hips, got to push up with the thigh twist that'll twist all the way around. Then we get the double knee joint that'll bend up that far to the back, not far from kicking his butt, with a shin twist at the top of the boot, and the foot can flex back and forth. A little bit stiff on this, but flex back and forth and twist side to side. So the pretty decent movement, so nothing too out of the ordinary, especially for the Power Rangers that we've got more recently. So it's got the nice smoother movements with all pinless joints and stuff, so it works out pretty well for that overall with nice movements. But for accessories, we get some additional hands, so they'll all come with some extra hands, so they're pretty much just fit. So we can see the hand designs there as well, again with their Omega morpher on the hand, which is cool. And then each come with their signature weapon. So for him, he has the Omega katana, which is pretty cool. So we get the sword like we get with like especially a lot of Red Rangers, but with a katana this time, so it's got a really nice thin blade that looks really cool. So let's put this in his hands. So there he's got the katana, and it also comes with the Hasbro effect of a little lightning. It looks like lightning, I guess, but in like an orangish color. Guess it could be fire though for his fire powers, but then we can just take and just slide this on the sword. So there you can have that effect to kind of show off some of his power. So that is pretty cool, I think. Like I said, I wish it looked more like a flame than it does the lightning, and of course it's just an effect we've got in the past, but I think it does look really cool. Of course, I just don't know how to get him posed up, and then feels like his hand's a little too weak to hold it, especially with the effects, so don't really know exactly what to do to pose him up. But either way, I think it looks cool. I just wish I could get it to work out better and know how to pose it to get it to work out, but I think it looks cool at least. And of course, since this is Jason, I did grab my Jason figure. So here we have the normal Red Ranger version of Jason. And of course, I forgot to grab the ones, or I didn't get them that had the heads, because we could switch the heads out, just give him a Jason head. So I don't have that to do, but it'd be cool. And you could easily just switch those out if you want them to give them to each of their Rangers. So that way they have their matching counterparts. Just obviously, we can't do the blue when we get to that. But overall, I think it looks cool. Like I said, I just don't know how to get this posed up to hold the sword so it can actually hold it up. Maybe if we do it double-handed. So maybe that works out a little bit better. But either way, overall, I still think the Red Ranger looks really cool, and I like the design. And next up, we have the Omega Yellow Ranger, which is Trini Kwan. Now, she's powered by Earth, so that's going to be her element. And overall, she looks pretty cool. So, very similar design. All of them are pretty much going to look identical, just obviously switching up the color. So, yellow this time. So, we have yellow on the helmet. Looks like the visor is pretty much exactly the same with the same sort of design, with the gold and the darker, like black colors running off. The only difference, like I said, is going to have the triangle logo there. So, whatever it is for Earth there on her helmet. But everything else is going to be the same. But obviously, this has the female body, so it's going to have the thinner arms and joints and, skinnier midsection and all that. But everything else design-wise, like I said, is going to be exactly like the Red Ranger was. And then, of course, we'll have the similar bodies. So we have 2 females, 2 males. So the males will share a body and females will share a body. But, of course, she does have the morpher there on her hand as well. And then, like I said, everything else is going to be identical to the Red Ranger. So whatever you saw already, just add it to the female body and then make it yellow in this case. But we'll do her movements, so her head can twist all the way around. She can look down that far and up that far, so not much movements, less than the Red Ranger had. Shoulders, again, can come up to 90. Again, not much butterfly at all, but it can rotate around within there. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that can bend all the way up on itself, or at least close to it, at least that far, with the wrist that'll twist around, and this one has the hinge up and down once again. Then we get the ab crunch right there, so crunch back and forth, not much crunching, just a little bit back and forth, but can twist all the way around. And then we get the additional crunch lower down, so crunch back and forth, much easier on her. Then down to the hips, up to 90 and out to the side. Again, those drop down hips push up with the thigh twist all the way around. The double knee joint that can bend up that far to the back at least, with a shin twist at the top of the boot, and then the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So as I said, pretty much the exact same movements overall for that, just with a little bit different and thinner joint designs. So you just have to be a little more careful so you don't possibly break things, like the elbows especially always worry me with the females because of how thin they are. But everything else, like I said, works out exactly the same. Accessory wise, we're going to get pretty similar with a set of fist hands, so again just in yellow, and then we have the morpher there on the left hand once again. But then we get her signature weapon of the Omega hammer, which is pretty cool. So we get this big, almost like Thor hammer design with some yellow on it. That's cool, and a nice gold handle there with yellow at the bottom. So that's awesome. So let's try and put this into her hands. And there she has the hammer, so that looks really cool. Love that design of the hammer. But then we get her effect I don't think will be too useful in certain positions, but we get this purple effect that's like a smashing design. So it's got a flat bottom, so obviously you can like sit it on the ground, so we can have it like where the hammer is smashed into the ground or kind of impacting there. But it does attach onto the hammer. Of course, I don't think she'll be able to hold it, but you just kind of stick it on there and it'll kind of hold onto it a little, and then you can have it up in the air. So like I said, it doesn't really work out too much for like this pose particularly, but I think it's cool. It almost looks like an umbrella, but it gives you some effect, or she could be like blocking or something. But I think it looks cool. But like I said, the effect isn't working, and of course it's not wanting her to stand up, keeps weighing her down. But I think that looks really cool though. Like I said, love the hammer and that purple effect. And like I said, this is Trini, so we do have our original Trini figure, and of course it just fell off. So Trini there in both her different forms as normal Mighty Morphin and now the Omega Ranger. That, like I said, I think is cool. Just the effect, I wish we had more use for it. Like I said, certain positions it looks really cool, like especially smashing into the ground, but just this form will have to have it the way she is. And then we have the Omega Black Ranger, which is Zach Taylor. He is powered by air and, of course, looks cool and very similar to the Red Ranger. Obviously, body's going to be exactly the same and pretty similar design, just obviously black where it was red on the Red Ranger. So looks pretty cool, but again, has the same design everywhere else. Just has the different triangle logo on the head, and with the black, it sort of stands out a little bit more on there again for air. But everything else about it, like I said, going to be exactly the same. And the movements, but we'll go ahead and do them. So the head can twist all the way around. Look down that far and up that far. So again, needs better movements in the head overall for these. Shoulders can come up to 90 with the butterfly joint, but doesn't move and can rotate around. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow that bends up that far, which isn't bad. And the wrist twist around and hinge up and down once again. Then we go to the ab crunch, so crunch back and forth and twist around, and then the lower ab crunch of crunching back and forth. Then to the hips that come up to 90 and out to the side with the drop down. Thigh twist all the way around the double knee joint. A little bit stiff on him though, it feels like, but can bend up that far to the back with a shin twist at the top of the boot, and the foot flex back and forth and twist side to side. So yeah, the exact same movements, everything's going to be the same, just a little bit of stiffness in that knee joint. And accessory wise, he comes with the additional set of hands again in the fist form where we get the morpher on it. And then for weapons, he has the Omega commas, which should look pretty cool. So we have commas on a chain, so that looks really awesome. So let's put these in his hands. And there's the commas in his hands, so that looks really cool. Love having them on the chain, just adds a lot of detail to it. And again, something new and different we've not seen with Power Rangers before. And then we also get some effects on it. So we have these little slash effects that will slide onto the blade. So let's put these on. So there's those slash effects, which of course I don't think with the pose look too good, but I think add some cool effect, you know, if you get some swinging motion into them. So it's nice slashes there that I think look really cool. So that overall I think looks awesome. And of course we have our original Zack from Mighty Morphin. Looks pretty cool there with our two forms of Zack now from Mighty Morphin and now the Omega Black Ranger. And our final figure of the pack is the Omega Blue Ranger, whose real name is Kaya Katal, and she's an alien from planet Kuja, whose family was killed by Goldar, and so she sought help on Earth from the Rangers, where she met Jason, Zack, and Trini, and they assisted her as she became the Blue Ranger and is powered by water. Now, unfortunately, the figure, like, she's supposed to be Blue Ranger, but it's more of a teal color, like it could be green, sort of blue, like blue-green mixture, so I kind of like that. It makes it, like, stand out, but I don't like how, you know, she's labeled as Blue Ranger, that she should be like teal ranger, just some sort of color like that, but I like the color that stands out quite a bit. And again, design wise, she's gonna be exactly like Trini was, so the yellow ranger, just obviously with that bluish green color all over here, and then of course the triangle on her head, again, that's supposed to be for water this time, but everything else about her looks exactly the same, so nothing really new there. And the movements will be the same, but her head will twist around, look down that far and up that far. Again, worse movements than the males. The shoulders can come up to 90 with that butterfly but doesn't move, and rotate around. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that can bend up that far, so pretty much the same. Wrist twist around and hinge up and down. And then to the ab crunch, so we get the crunch here. That'll barely crunch, but twist around. And then we get the lower crunch as well. That'll crunch even more. Then the hips will come up to 90 and out to the side with the drop down thigh twist all the way around. The double knee joint, that'll bend up that far to the back. And the shin twist at the top of the boot with the foot that'll flex back and forth and twist side to side. So yeah, the exact same movements and no issues with any of that. And for accessories, we again get the set of fist hands to go along with her, and then we get her signature weapon of the Omega Trident. So this looks pretty cool, getting this trident design. So mostly all blue handle, or that blue green, and then like the white and gold on the end of it and gold on the bottom there. So that looks really cool. So let's put this into her hand. So there, I just kind of gave her the trident like she was going to be throwing it, because I thought that looked cool. And to go along with it, we do also get this blue lightning effect that we've seen before, of course, and we can just slide this on the trident. So every time we've had this effect, it's definitely not been my favorite, but you can just slide it on the trident there just like that, so it has some of that effect come off. Again, supposed to be water, but I like how she though has water powers and has the trident, you know, which is very much water related, so that is pretty cool, I think. So she looks awesome there. And of course, I wish, like with this, since it was a character we've never had before, I wish we got her like unmasked alien looking head to go with her, but we don't have that. And of course, there's no other forms of her, so we don't have anything else to show against it. But I really like this, just the color design, and I think the trident's really cool. So happy to have this figure. Well, that's going to be it for our Power Rangers Lightning Collection Omega Ranger 4-pack from the Boom Comics, where we got the Omega Red, Yellow, Black, and Blue Ranger. All I think look pretty cool. Of course, they're all pretty much the exact same figure, just with the different color designs, which is standard for Power Rangers, so it makes sense. It's just they don't seem to have too much fanciness. Now, I do like the designs with like the shields and the extra like gold bands and stuff all running through it. Adds a lot of like pop of color and designs onto them with the different helmet designs. I just wish there was more uniqueness to each one, you know, like with the Mighty Morphin, they at least had the different helmet designs, where these all have the same, just the different triangle logos. So I just wish they had more, but I absolutely love their weapons. Like, all of these weapons are really cool, things we've not had before with Power Rangers, so I think that's awesome. So the weapons are definitely my favorite thing from this pack. But let me know what you thought of these Rangers though down in the comments, and if you enjoyed my review, let me know with a thumbs up. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.